So welcome back to this special edition of Hannity. So Spencer Pratt's LA mayoral run is gaining more support with Paris Hilton and Kristen Cavallari now publicly backing him. While a growing list of powerful tech executive, entertainment moguls, and billionaires are pouring in money into Pratt's campaign as frustration with the city boils over. Meanwhile, one far left LA mayoral hopeful, Nithya Raman, proposed restriction on backyard barbecues during high fire warning days, which would even impact restaurants that cook with open flames. Pratt fired back on this ridiculous idea with this video on X caption, "Come and take it." And despite the rumors swirling online, Pratt is now denying reports that he plans on turning City Hall into a reality TV show, telling Hannity producers directly there is no contract and no series in production. Here now with reaction, host of the OutKick show, Clay Travis, along with Fox News contributor Joe Concha. Joe, I'm going to go to you first, brother. I feel this, this stickiness in the air, and it's panic. The Democrats seem to be coalescing, and they're trying to force him out of the race. But the people, even some of the celebrities, are backing him because they're so upset with what's happened on the day-to-day basis.
Yeah, LJ, when Spencer Pratt dominated that debate last week, 89% of those polled by NBC LA said he won that debate. He said he heard mainly from Democrats saying, "I'm going to vote for you." He has a crossover appeal where there isn't an R or a D next to his name, but a guy who just wants to solve major problems in the second biggest city in the country. And he has this quality, LJ, that you can't teach: authenticity. No. And these AI ads that he's doing are absolute bangers. They're effective, they're biting, and they're hilarious, and they will change the way campaign ads are done for the foreseeable future. And look, California has elected plenty of Republican celebrities to office. Ronald Reagan, most famously, two-term governor. Schwarzenegger, this century, two-term governor. Sonny Bono was a mayor and a congressman. Clint Eastwood was mayor of Carmel, California. And when you look at how unpopular Karen Bass is, guys, there's real opportunity here for Pratt. I mean, she's at 25% approval. Her big proposal that she offered this week was free replacement teeth for meth users. And her handling of the wildfires was horrific. She wasn't even in the country. So, look, here's the bottom line. Emerson College shows Pratt jumping 12 points in 1 month, and now he's within single digits of Karen Bass. You used the word fear before, LJ, and panic. It's true, because they were supposed to debate again this week, and Karen Bass backed out because she got so dominated the week before.
Well, Clay, she's a terrible candidate. And I love the latest attack this week of where he's living. Oh, he's not living in the trailer right now. He's actually in a hotel because he's supposed to raise his family there after they let his house burn down while the mayor decided that she was going to go on a foreign trip when they warned her this was going to happen.
Yeah, look, I think the real question Los Angeles is faced with is that they have an unbelievable, spectacular, beautiful city that they have allowed Democrats to utterly destroy. And if you think about it, it's a little bit like New York City when they finally went to Rudy Giuliani and then followed it up with Mayor Bloomberg. 20 years of sanity put New York City on a much better path. It drove the murder rate from over 2,000 down to around 250. Los Angeles is drowning in filth. Are they willing to break the glass like New York City was and try something new? A lot of Los Angeles residents seem to be willing to do so. And remember, it's not just LA. It's also all of California, which is why with the election coming up, Steve Hilton is surging as well. Is there going to be a willingness to try something new? If I lived in LA, beyond a shadow of a doubt, and it's one of the cities I've spent the most time in my life, I would vote Spencer Pratt. I think a lot of sane people in Los Angeles are starting to agree with me.
Well, Joe, it just depends on who's sane and who isn't. You know, I look at one of my heroes, the greatest point guard ever to play the game of basketball, Magic Johnson, and goes, he's going to support her, that is his friend, and that she's done a great job. I mean, like, what planet are you living in? Needles everywhere, homeless people everywhere, drug addicts everywhere, people just running into stores and stealing things, and you're saying she did a great job? Are you kidding me?
The world that Magic Johnson lives in, unfortunately, Lawrence, is a world of a multi-million-dollar mansion, gated, and doesn't have to deal with the problems that so many Los Angeles are at this point. As you mentioned, the homeless rate, as Spencer Pratt pointed out, it's not so much a homeless problem, it is a drug problem. 90% of people on the street have major drug problems. They need help. He's going to be focused like a laser on that. And overall, just common sense stuff. Don't make it about conservative, liberal, just common sense versus chaos. What's your choice, Los Angeles? That's the question Spencer Pratt is asking, and more people are saying, I choose you.
And also, Clay, he's a guy that you just would love to just grab a beer with at the end of a long day and just talk common sense.
Well, look, I mean, I think there are a lot of people. Joe hit on the unbelievable success of his viral videos that he's been sharing. But he's not running as a Republican.
No.
He's running as just a guy with common sense. And LJ, you know this. Joe, you know this. Yeah. There's a lot of guys in America who are just fed up with Democrat insanity. And if you want to sit down and have a beer, you're not going to be sitting around talking about some dude who won a women's championship and how great it was. Democrats have lost men, and I think there's a lot of white, black, Asian, and Hispanic guys in L.A. who are fed up with the incompetence. As Spencer Pratt said, women and children first, and there's a lot of men who agree with that and want L.A. to go back to what it used to be, one of the greatest cities in the history of the world.
He has what you can't teach, and we're all in this business. We know the politicians that are, they're smart guys, they vote the right way, but they're kind of dweeby. You can't see them getting a national profile because they don't do a good job working the crowd with the people. They don't appear normal, so they're just going to stay in that Senate seat or that congressional seat. But this is a guy that has the right policy, the right brains, but he's relatable. And I'm interested to see how this race is going to all turn out. Gentlemen, thanks so much. You both aren't dweebs, by the way. You're the good guys. It's good to see y'all.
All right, thanks for watching. Check out my new podcast, Hanging Out with Me, Sean Hannity. The big interviews, the debates you won't get anywhere else. Like and subscribe for new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday.